Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and turn on notifications so that you will receive alerts when there are new episodes. Go get it.
That's what I tell them. I've been grinding for so long, I wake up and chase my goals. I go out and I go get it. How to code, that's all I know. I don't succeed, then I don't breathe. Success, what does it mean? If I conquer all my goals, then I'm living out my dream. Dig deep, go out and get it. Success Chronicles. Compete until it's finished. Success Chronicles. Go take care of your business. Success Chronicles. It's deeper than just winning. Success Chronicles.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Chip Baker coming to you with a topic session. And I'm so excited to have Dr. Jynine Caldwell on with us. Amazing lady doing some great things. So first, thank you so much for taking the time to do the topic session with me.
Well, thank you, Mr. Baker, for having me again. I always enjoy having these discussions with you as a fellow educator, and I appreciate the opportunity to have this conversation and to be on on Success Chronicles again.
Awesome. Well, before we dive into it, I'd love for you to get an opportunity to share with the audience kind of, what you do so they have an idea of your background, your experience, because what we're going to talk about with this topic is directly related to your experiences and the things that you do now.
Right. Well, okay, just a little bit about me. I started off as a kindergarten teacher in Grand Prairie ISD, taught kindergarten for 3 years, and then I became a third grade reading teacher. My principal at the time thought that I should move up and teach a testing grade to have diverse experiences. So that was great. And then I went on to be an early learning specialist. And from there, I became a literacy instructional coordinator, where I got to work more with curriculum and coaching teachers and working with instructional coaches. And from there, professor part-time at the University of North Texas in Denton, and I teach Teaching as Advocacy for Equity, ED-EE 1010, which is what we're going to talk about today.
Yes, that's a great segue into what we're going to talk about today.
Yes.
And the topic that we're going to hit on is advocacy, and that's teaching as advocacy for equity. And so, just diving into it, how do you integrate the principles of equity and inclusion into your teaching methods to ensure that all students, regardless of backgrounds, feel represented and supported in the learning environment?
Well, I definitely prioritize diverse perspectives, not only in class discussions, but in course content. I think that having diverse readings that students can choose from, like giving students some choice and having readings that reflect lots of different perspectives of people of different cultures is important, and texts that use inclusive language, so that all students can feel heard, seen, and represented, not only in language, but through images as well. Everything that I include in my course is culturally responsive. And that is because I want to create a classroom culture and environment that values and respects all students and their unique experiences, because students come to me, with all different backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
I have a combination of cisgender, non-binary students, trans students, and students that are of different cultures: Indian, African American, white, Hispanic. And so I want to make sure they're all reflected, and so that is reflected in my teaching strategies as well. Some students prefer to respond verbally, some prefer to respond in groups before the group shares out, and they prefer to contribute that way. And some students prefer to contribute through writing. So I try to make sure to cater to all the different learning styles and provide equitable opportunities for all students to participate.
So good. What are some examples from your teaching where you actively address and challenge biases or stereotypes of fostering an inclusive atmosphere that advocates for equity among your students?
Well, one time, I think it was week 3, I shared a video with students, and it was on a situation that happened in Missouri back in 2013, and it was the Florence schools. Um, they had children or students from the Normandy School District in St. Louis who had to come to Florence because Normandy had lost accreditation. And so the African American students were now needing to be bused to a predominantly white school in Florence. And
Mhm.
so, like I said, this happened in Missouri. So there were a lot of parents in the Florence city schools who were upset because they're like, well, the demographics are changing. This is not what I sent my child to school here for, and we have students coming in with all types of different backgrounds. My child is not used to being around students that are from this neighborhood. And so it gave my students a real opportunity to talk about the issue from their perspective. And some of them admitted they had never even experienced situations like this because they always lived in a community where everybody looked like them. And they said this course, some of them said it's the first time they ever encountered those issues or even knew that those types of things happen, and had exposure and got to discuss them. And so then I had another group of students who had experienced marginalization in their communities, and with regard to opportunities in school, maybe they didn't get all of the course offerings or the opportunities that other students had in other schools. And so they could speak to, the reason why the African American parents were so adamant about sending their children to another school to have better opportunities. And so I think it was a really powerful discussion, and it forced lots of students to challenge biases that they may not have realized that they had, or to hear from the students who have the same perspective as the students that were being bused to a new school in a new neighborhood, and to
Mhm.
really empathize with them. And I think that's what's most important today, is that we teach students to have empathy for the struggles of other people.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, that's super important so that we grow together as a society.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
So
so,
go
okay.
ahead.
I was going to say a lot of the discussions in my course have to do with those types of issues, from situations where Hispanic students were discriminated against. Maybe they weren't getting the bilingual instruction that they deserved to. These are things that historically happen, and so we discuss that, and we're seeing some of those same patterns that have still maybe not as overtly, but they're still happening today. And so I challenge my students who are pre-service teachers to think about these issues before they go in to teach in their own classroom, and how they can resolve these issues, or to advocate for students who are experiencing these issues, because it's important.
Yeah,
We want to prepare the next generation of teachers to be equitable leaders.
that's awesome. As I hear you talk about, all of those things, I think learning styles comes up for me, but then diverse learning styles, comes up for me as well. In what ways do you adapt your teaching materials and approaches to accommodate those diverse learning styles?
Absolutely. It's very necessary.
Yeah. What ways do you do that?
I for like I was talking about earlier, to provide students with different opportunities to respond differently to discussions.
Hmm.
I a lot of times will create my presentations in Pear Deck, so that students can respond virtually, and I can project the responses on the screen, and nobody knows who is responsible for what response. It's just students reading what others had to say and commenting. And I think it provides a safe space for all students because they may not want other students in the class to know that they said it, but their opinions or their perspectives are still being heard. Also, we have sessions where students get to ask me questions. I have candid conversations with Dr. Caldwell, and students get to send me questions, and I post them for the class to see, but again, I post them anonymously. So they can ask me real questions about what I do in my role, or things that they feel anxiety about when thinking about their first year of teaching. They can ask me honest, questions that they have, and I can respond to them, and they don't have any fear of anyone knowing who asked that question. And so I think that provides a different opportunity for them to learn specifically what they want to learn, but to feel comfortable in the process. And also, I allow students to do collaborative activities. And so students get to choose their role as they conduct those group projects or participate in those activities. And everyone has a role, but everyone gets a choice as far as how they want to respond, whether that's written, verbal, or through video or audio, however they want to do it.
Yeah.
They have a choice. And I've gotten a lot of good feedback about that because students, again, feel comfortable having choice. I think that's the best thing we can do as educators, is to provide students with choice and to take ownership, allow them to take ownership of their learning in that way.
So good. So good. Well, as we close, I'd love for you to get an opportunity to share with the audience where they can, go follow you and check you out and show you some love with all of the amazing work you have going on.
Absolutely. You can all find me on Twitter at Dr_Jynine C. And I am also on LinkedIn as Dr. Jynine Caldwell. And feel free to check me out on Twitter. I post a lot of the work that I'm doing in school improvement with my campuses that I serve in my district. And I'll be posting more of my content from my college course as well. That could be artifacts or just different pieces of presentations that I do for my class. And so I'm excited to get to collaborate with you all and to hopefully share ideas, and feel free to come check me out.
There it is. Well, again, thank you so much for taking the time to, man, share about that, advocacy. I mean, it's so important. Um, and take a deep dive and just discuss it some. So thank you for that.
Yes, thank you again, Mr. Baker, for having me. And I hope that this will be just another segue into another opportunity to share more of this work with you as I continue to research and in the future publish more on this topic. But I'm just so grateful to have the opportunity to share a platform with you to share some of this uh, course content and
Yeah,
my thoughts on the topic. So thank you so much.
you're very welcome. Keep doing your thing. It's inspiring.
Thank you.
All
And
right.
you as well.
Thank you. And thank you guys for checking out this topic session. We'll see you next time. God bless. Go get it.